Valentine's Day, a day to celebrate romance and chocolate gift giving to your Valentines. Yeah, quite frankly, I totally forgot about Valentine's Day until people mentioned about it today. You are listening to That Concerned Guy. The legend of Saint Valentine. The history of Valentine's Day and the story of its patron saint is shrouded in mystery. We do know that February has been celebrated as a month of romance, and that Saint Valentine's Day, as we know it today, contains vestige of both Christian and ancient Roman tradition. But who was Saint Valentine, and how did he become associated with this ancient rite? The Catholic Church recognizes at least 3 different saints named Valentine or Valentinos, all of whom were martyred. One legend contains that Valentine was a priest who served during the 3rd century in Rome. When Emperor Claudius II decided that single men made better soldiers than those with wives and families, he outlawed marriage for young men. Valentine, realizing the injustice of the decree, defied Claudius and continued to perform marriages for young lovers in secret. When Valentine's actions were discovered, Claudius ordered that he be put to death. Origins of Valentine's Day, a pagan festival in February. While some believe that Valentine's Day is celebrated in the middle of February to commemorate the anniversary of Valentine's death or burial, which probably occurred around AD 270. Others claim that the Christian Church may have decided to place Saint Valentine's feast day in the middle of February in an effort to Christianize the pagan celebration of lupercalia, celebrated at the Ides of February or February 15th. Lupercalia was a fertility festival dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture, as well as the Roman founder Romulus and Remus. To begin the festival, members of the Luperci, an order of Roman priests, would gather at a sacred cave where the infants Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, were believed to have been cared for by a she-wolf or lupa. The priests would sacrifice a goat for fertility and a dog for purification. They would then strip the goat's hide into strips, dip them into the sacrificial blood, and take to the streets, gently slapping both women and crop fields with the goat hide. Far from being fearful, Roman women welcomed the touch of the hides because it was believed to make them more fertile in the coming year. Later in the day, according to legend, all the young women in the city would place their names in a big urn. The city's bachelors would each choose a name and become paired for the year with his chosen women. These matches often ended in marriage. Valentine's Day, a day of romance. Lupercalia survived the initial rise of Christianity, but was outlawed as it was deemed unchristian at the end of the 5th century, when Pope Gelasius declared February 14th Saint Valentine's Day. It was not until much later, however, that the day became definitely associated with love. During the Middle Ages, it was commonly believed in France and England that February 14th was the beginning of birds' mating season, which added to the idea that the middle of Valentine's Day would be a day for romance. Well, folks, that's a very interesting historical information on Valentine's Day. Of course, after all this, after medieval times, going towards the 18th and 19th century to the 20th century, of course, Valentine's Day was celebrated in America, Canada, and of course other Anglo-speaking countries, Anglosphere countries. And of course, Valentine's Day slowly evolved into more of a commercialized day for buying sweets, chocolates, flowers for someone's Valentine's. Even though it's not really deemed as a public holiday, which is unfortunate for us working sobs, but it's really the commercialization of Valentine's Day. Just another excuse to spend more money and for stores to sell more candy, lollies, chocolate, flowers, or whatever to give to your Valentines or whatever. But these days, is it even worth even participating in this sort of things? I mean, really, relationships these days is just it's all being shriveled up. There's no real meaning anymore. I mean, we all know that marriages is on the decline, well, especially in more developed countries, and people claim that divorce rates are on the decline. Well, that's because more people are deciding not to get married, either by remaining single or just cohabitating with their partners and not actually getting officially married. But in the general scheme of things, society is becoming more and more more weakened. It is so marupok, that there is no real sense of the word love. Well, what is love? That's a debate in itself. Where we all know chemical reactions of serotonin and all that, blah blah blah, etc., etc. But talking about the conventional term love, meaning the loving family, the family unit, stability within the family, especially for the kids to grow up as become healthy adults later on in life. And more people don't really want to associate with one another anymore. Sure, they got their own little cliques of buddies and friends and all that, but there's no real love within society. Real love in terms of caring for each other, looking out for each other, helping one another, not necessarily in a romantic sense, but just caring for your fellow being. There's none of that. Well, there's hardly of that anymore. Well, that is in more developed countries, especially in the Western group of developed countries. And I don't know, this superficial notion of Valentine's Day, it's so lame that even a lot of people have even forgotten about it. Forgot it was today. I have. I mean, it's people just want to be all pasikat to show off with their candy, gift giving, and being all that, blah blah blah. Keeping up with the appearances. But the art of talking with one another is becoming more of a rare thing, especially with the advent of social media and all that sort of thing, and people sticking to themselves, isolating themselves from one another, and the community spirit is diminishing, etc., etc., as I've mentioned before. And sayang naman, it's a shame, really. It's really, again, this is just all about corporate profit making, with days such as Valentine's Day, Christmas, Easter, and all that. And already they're already advertising Easter eggs and Easter hot cross buns now. They're already advertising on supermarkets and other stores now, and it's only February. Again, it's all about the commercial consumerism culture. And you have all these all these babaes wanting to get into buying all this stuff. Again, babaes make up 80% of the consumers spending, because they love shopping, getting all this for this and that, presents, blah blah, gift giving, chocolates, etc. You know, now it's Easter eggs. You know, and you get what I'm saying. So people celebrating Valentine's Day, oh no, you know, hardly relationships really lasts that long these days, and if they do last, it's not really for the real bonding of the union of two people in love. It's not really that anymore. Maybe they're doing it more for the kids, you know, if they got kids, and usually, you know, even that doesn't last anymore. More broken families, split families are occurring. It's happening, you know. You know, is that really what to celebrate? Is that really what we need to do to celebrate Valentine's Day, even though it's pretty much, it's defeating the purpose of the very notion of it? Yes. What are your thoughts? It's becoming more of a parody of itself. You know? This whole thing about love. What is love? Do people try to put more effort into loving someone in their relationship, and making it work? Anyway, that's for my rant for today. You have been listening to That Concerned Guy. Please subscribe to my channel, give this clip a thumbs up, like, and I'll catch you later. Mabuhay!